Okay, we're about to reach the 50 people bar in the webinar, so we will get started. Welcome to the session around Zendesk, the Chrome extension, and some advanced assistance tooling that we'll be using. I'll start with a small introduction of Dust, just to make sure everybody's aware of what we're doing. If you're new to the Dust platform or if you haven't used it originally. So basically what we're doing is we help you build specialized assistants through a no-code assistant builder. And we have a developer platform if you want to use code and orchestrate the whole thing a bit more complex in a more complex way. And those assistants have access to your company knowledge. So you'll be able to connect them to relevant materials, either through pre-built connections that we give you, or if you want to import pretty much anything through the API. And the good thing as well is that you can embed those assistants pretty much anywhere. So you can use them on the Dust platform itself, but you can connect them to our different integrations that we've already built. So either the Chrome extension, the Zendesk integration, the Google Sheet integration, etc., or through the API to your own internal software or even external software if you want to. Cool. Let's see today's agenda. We'll be talking first about how to connect Zendesk, which is our newest connection, and show a little customer support use case, how to put that in the right space and use it through the Zendesk app or the Chrome extension or directly in Slack. Then we'll deep dive a little bit in advanced assistant tools, which are include data and extract data. We'll talk about the users' feedback for builders and that you can use through the API as well, meaning the smaller version of that is thumbs up, thumbs down that we added a few weeks ago. We'll talk about the NPM package if we have some developers in the audience, and then I'll answer some Q&A. I think we won't take the full hour today. The agenda is pretty light. Cool. All right, let's start with Zendesk. If you have any questions, just ask them on the chat, and Remy will ping me. The issue of the chat is that I'm not receiving any pings when it happens, so I might not stop directly, but I'll try to check from time to time if we have anybody asking for anything. Cool. All right. Let's plug Zendesk to Dust. Okay, so I'm going to start. I'll move that to another screen so I can see the chat. Okay, so to be able to plug in Zendesk, it's the newest connector that we have. So you need to be an admin to be able to connect a new data source to Dust. If you're an admin, you'll have the knowledge tab at the bottom, at the top left of your menu here, and then the connection admin tab in that menu. In the connection admin, you'll be able to click on add connections and then choose Zendesk. It gets really simple from there. You just need to add your Zendesk subdomain. Sorry, I'm not streaming the right one. Okay, sorry. I'll just remove the slides. Yeah, there we go. Thanks, Remy. I'll do that again. Let me come back. All right, so if you're an admin here, you'll have access to a knowledge tab here. And in the knowledge tab, you'll be able to click on connection admin. That's where you add all the connections that Dust is natively integrated to. And from there, you'll be able to add Zendesk directly. On the side, a little panel opens. You need to add your Zendesk subdomain. So basically here, this is my Zendesk account. My subdomain is whatever is before the zendesk.com. So usually it's just the name of your company, but for us, it's a dev account. So it's dev-dust. So I'm just going to add this. This is going to open a workflow, like an OAuth workflow. I've already clicked on authorize, so it's not asking me again, but it should show you an authorization window that you just have to authorize Dust to access your Zendesk account. A little trick here is that right now it says synchronizing, but you need to click on manage to be able to tell us what you want to synchronize. By default, we won't synchronize anything. And here we have two different brands in our Zendesk account. And so you might have different brands, or like we know some customers have Zendesk brands per country. You can have different brands for different stuff, but some of you will have only one brand. So you can just take whatever you want. So here we have two brands, Dust and Test. We can decide to synchronize everything. So here we synchronize the help center and the tickets. If you want to just sync the help center or just the tickets, you can do so as well. I'm going to save. And now I've got a little message telling me your data is being synchronized, but then I need to add it to company data for company-wide access or restricted spaces for custom access. What I've done here is just connect Zendesk to Dust. It's not, it hasn't made the data available to my workspace yet. So I need to add it to company data or restricted space. That's basically what this video is explaining. But what I need to do here is to say, okay, in company data, if I want to make my Zendesk data available to my entire workspace, I'm going to click to connect data, add data from connections, and then I can see my Zendesk data here. I can see my Dust Help Center, Test Help Center, Dust Tickets, Test Tickets. So let's say I just want to make my tickets available to the company data. And there we go. In my company data, Zendesk is now available. And once I've done this, I can start building assistants on top of my data. So I can click on create an assistant. I'm going to type some instructions. So as I said at the beginning, assistants are a set of instructions attached to your data. So I'm going to say you are a customer assistant support expert with access to our Zendesk tickets database. I can type a whole bunch of instructions to make sure it does the actual work. I don't know what's happening with the screen that's blinking. Let me see. Because I see questions in the chat. If I do that, you guys see Zendesk, right? Yeah, it seems like it. Okay, we might have some issues with the screen sharing. And now I'm going to say, okay, so I've got my instructions. And then I'm going to add a tool and add a search tool in my tickets, which will be select data sources in company data, which I attach my Zendesk data to. And then here I can see my Zendesk data. So I added the tickets in company data. So I can say, okay, I want all my Zendesk tickets to be available to this assistant. So this data contains Zendesk tickets. And there we go. Now my assistant basically has access to the Zendesk tickets. I'll call it Zendy. And we'll see what it has. Let's see if the sync is done already. Yeah, okay, sync is done. What did Abud ask us? So the problem with our demo workspace on Zendesk is that we don't have a lot of closed tickets because it's a demo workspace, and the Zendesk connection on Dust only syncs closed tickets because we consider that non-closed tickets are not useful to synchronize. So let me switch to the other workspace that we have, which is using pretty much the same assisted, but on some real Zendesk tickets. So I'm going to ask the same thing. So basically, I can show you Zendesk Genius. This is the its instructions are a little bit bigger than what I just typed. You're an AI assistant with access to Zendesk ticket database. You can search this tickets database, analyze the ticket status, resolution details, etc., and answer on how to address the inquiry. I added Zendesk tickets to the search, pretty much exactly what I did there. It's just that the Zendesk tickets that it has access to are a little bit more interesting. How to refund for a broken object. How often does Zendesk sync, pull, and close tickets? I think we sync every 5 minutes. So we do an incremental sync. So anything that changes in your Zendesk every 5 minutes will be pulled in. So you see, so I asked how to refund for a broken object, and you can see that based on the available ticket history, here's how to proceed with a refund for a broken object. So this is just an example using previous Zendesk tickets. This question I could ask this question to an actual documentation or road book or something like that, run book. But here I'm actually pulling from older tickets. I can see that I need to ask for the order number, some pictures, etc. Then I've got refund options, some steps to process, and I can see that for all of them, I've got different sources. So if I go down here, I can see the tickets that I need to open that that were used for the information. So if I click on ticket 9, for example, I'm going to show up in a ticket about a free repair because my leather armchair was broken. Are the tickets from the last 90 days synced like in Intercom, or do we have more history? I believe we have 6 months of history with Zendesk. Yeah, I think it's 6 months. When a new ticket is sold or deleted in a brand you've selected, it takes up to 30 minutes. Okay, yeah. I think it's a bit less than that. I mean, but yeah, basically in 30 minutes, you should be fine. Cool. So yeah, that's pretty much it for how to actually add Zendesk data to Dust. But the cool thing is that you can use that outside of Dust. So 2 different ways. You're in Zendesk, you're an agent, and you have installed the Zendesk Dust application. This means that you've got access to your assistants on the side here. The cool thing is that you can also limit the number of assistants that your agents have access to. If you don't want your agents to have access to your entire assistants workforce. So here we just limited that to a few, like there's like 6 or 7 assistants that the agents can use. One of them is the one I just showed you, Zendesk Genius. So I can just ask, do we have similar tickets? What should I answer? What you need to know here is that the extension, the Zendesk application sends the entire ticket whenever we ask this question. So I don't need to type anything. I don't need to tell, okay, my customer is this guy. It has everything. So there we go. It tells me I would respond, hi, Marcus, thanks for providing the details about your chair, etc., etc. So you can say that we're talking to Marcus and he's asking about a chair. So we really have the entire detail. And I can just use that as a public reply, just remove the beginning and say, okay, hi, Marcus, and remove the end as well. And there we go. That's my answer. I can also add it as an internal note if I prefer to add it as an internal note. And whenever the administrator is installing the Dust Zendesk application on your Zendesk workspace, you can choose if you want to share your customer PII or not, because some companies don't want to share anything from their customer to LLM models, well, LLMs. So if you tick the box to not share PII, then the model won't be aware of the customer name, of their email, etc. So just make sure your agents know how much your Dust application knows about your customer. Cool. All right. If I close the Dust app, I can still use Dust in Zendesk directly. Here on the top right, I've got the Chrome extension installed. So I can just use the Chrome extension. I'm going to go in the right workspace. And here it's pretty much like if I had Dust on the side, and Dust knows about my tab content if I wanted to. I'm just going to take a second to answer questions. Is it possible to prioritize data from a customer success playbook? Yeah, definitely. You can give instructions to your assistant to do so. We have a tendency to think that GPT is better at following those types of instructions than Claude. You need to tell it, okay, first check the Zendesk data source and then fall back to the tickets. Claude is a little bit more like, okay, I'm just going to use everything. How does it work if the Zendesk agent has no access to Dust? It doesn't work. If you don't give a Dust account to your agent, he's just gonna have a message saying you need a Dust account to be able to use the extension. Well, the Dust app on Zendesk. Okay, so the Dust extension is basically Dust packaged in your browser with access to your tab. We have two different ways of accessing your tab. You have this button here, which attaches the text of the page. And you have this button here, which attaches a screenshot of your page. So here, if we want to do pretty much the same thing that we just did, I'm going to attach the text of the page and ask Zendesk Genius. So main difference here is that if you install the extension, you have the entire set of rights and permissions that you have on Dust normally. So you can't really limit the assistants to only the Zendesk ones. It's the ones that you have access to as a user. So do we have similar tickets? So it's going to do pretty much the same thing. It's sending the entire content of the page, and my assistant is answering, so searching data. Here you have the full Dust experience. So you're not just waiting without knowing what's happening. You see the thoughts, you see the text streaming, etc. And there we go. We've got two particularly relevant tickets that do pretty much the same thing, and it's answering pretty much the same thing you just did. You need to determine the purchase date, some photos, etc., etc. And here are the relevant tickets, which are the same ones, 2 and 9, which is a good thing. What are the differences between the app and the Chrome approaches to use Dust within Zendesk? But basically, it's doing pretty much the same thing. It's just that the Chrome extension is a lot larger because you can use it on every single tab. So if I open another tab, so for example, let's say I go on lemonde.fr and I ask Claude, what are the top 3 news today? So with the Chrome extension, you can pretty much send everything, like any of your content. And the main thing is that your agents need to install it. Whether if you just install the Zendesk extension, your agents have it by default directly in their Zendesk, no matter if they're on a different computer, if they're using a different browser, etc., etc. The Chrome extension is depending on if it's been installed, and you need to be logged in Dust. So it's a little bit more work, and you can't limit the assistants to strictly the ones you need in Zendesk, and you can't limit the PII send, and you can't limit, well, the extension can be used pretty much anywhere on any tab. We have to create an agent, Claude 3. What we have to put in the instructions. So no, so here I made an example that it's Claude 3. It just means that I'm talking directly to the Claude 3 model. If I want to talk to GPT directly, I could do the same with GPT-4. What are the top 3 news? So basically, if you mention Claude or GPT or Gemini or Mistral, you're talking directly to the model. If you want to use an assistant, so which has pre-made instructions and is linked to your data, then you need to mention your assistant. When would I use the text versus picture option of the Chrome extension? Basically, if you want to know anything about content, it's better to use the text option. If you want visualization from the models to happen, then you can use the screenshot. So for example, if I'm staying on Le Monde, it's taking a screenshot. So you can see that it's actually screenshotting the, I don't know why it started the video. Okay, I'm going to switch to another page because when I'm screenshotting Le Monde, it's starting in a video. I don't know why. But basically, if you take a screenshot, then the model is going to try to analyze an image. So if you want to know about content, then you need to use the text version. To use the integration directly embedded in Zendesk, no, the agent doesn't need to log in. It's centralized by the Zendesk admins. But you need to make sure your agent has the same email than their account on Dust. And yeah, we are sharing the entire page code. We're sharing the DOM to be technical. One Confluence page per client can thus make a link between the data of Zendesk and its Confluence page. Is there a way to import a relational database for matching? Let's put that to the Slack community because it seems that we need more information to be able to answer this question. Sorry, I need to drink something. Okay. So yeah, that's basically the main difference between the extension and the Zendesk app is that the Zendesk app is directly available to all of your agents if they have a Dust account. The Dust extension is that they have to install it, they have to log in, and they have to do not forget to attach the text from a page whenever they're talking to their assistants. All right. I think we're pretty much good on the Zendesk side. Let me know if you have any other question. I'll just take a second to drink something because I'm coughing a bit. All right. No questions. Let's switch to advanced assistance tools. So basically, whenever we're creating an assistant, we have access to a different set of tools. Guillaume, I don't know what you mean by more efficient. They're basically accessing the same assistants. So your assistants are like the answers are not going to be different. It's just that the form is going to be a little bit different. Like you saw the Chrome extension, you have some streaming, you have some information whenever the assistant is thinking, but in Zendesk, you're just waiting. It's a bit more rough. But Zendesk sends by default the entire ticket content, while the assistant, you have to attach it by clicking one of the buttons. So just a little bit different. If your agents are, if you have a lot of agents and they're used to work directly in Zendesk, maybe it's better to have the Zendesk integration. If your agents are a bit more tech savvy and they know how to install Chrome extensions and manage their way around and know when to attach the text or not, then the Chrome extension might be your way to go. Okay, so let's switch to the tool. I'm going to create a new assistant. Test assistant. The instructions don't matter because I want to talk about tools. So whenever you create an assistant, you are creating like a set of instructions, and then you're attaching tools to it. And the tools are, well, you have 5 different tools that you can use: search, include data, extract data, query tables, and run a desktop. Search is semantic search. What do you mean by apps? Is it external tools? I'm not sure. I don't understand your question, Damien, because we're not really mentioning apps. We have Zendesk into we built an app for Zendesk. We built a plugin for Google Sheet, for example, and we built an extension for Chrome, but we don't have a HubSpot CRM direct connection for now. You have a way to pull data from HubSpot, but that's not the point of this webinar. You can ask on the Slack community, and I'll answer how to do that. Do we have the sources used using the Zendesk app? No. Yeah, that's a good point. The Zendesk app for now doesn't show the sources used, but that's something we're going to add in the future. All right. So I'll stop answering the questions that are not linked to Zendesk or tools. Please use the Slack community because if not, I'm not going to be able to keep going. And so no, we don't have a HubSpot integration for now. All right, so we've got different tools. Search is semantic search. It helps you search through your data with the actual sense, like the actual meaning of your question. Include data is including entire documents whenever you need to retrieve something and ship it to the LLM. Extract data helps you extract structured data from unstructured data. So it means that from unstructured documents, sorry. So it means that you can extract a lot more data than include data because it's extracting it in a structured way already and then shipping it to an LLM. Query tables helps you build SQL and run quantitative queries. So it means that you can build graphs and calculate stuff. And run a Dust app is the advanced mode of Dust, where you can actually create applications that you can run from assistants. So today we are going to talk about include and extract. And I'll start with some examples. Okay, so we've got a first example, which is this, if it wants to switch. So this assistant is basically trying to summarize what's been happening in the AI world, because we're receiving a lot of AI newsletters and we're trying to summarize them to get the top stories of the week, basically. So we can run that every week and be able to monitor what's happening. So basically, how we build that, fairly simple. Set of instructions, as always. It's describing Dust, giving a bunch of features, giving us some target audience, and asking the output formats. That's pretty much it. The important part here is the data source. So we're including data from the past week from something that we call AI newsletter input. So basically, this is just a repository of emails that we receive every week. So if we go in that folder, here we see that we received about 200 newsletters. And if I open one, I'm going to say that this one's coming from therundown.ai, and there's a ton of text in it. So what I want to do here to get my top 6 news is I want to include all the newsletters I received this week ship it to an LLM and tell me, okay, what's the best news I need to read, because I don't want to read everything in all the newsletters that I received. So extract the top six and tell me about it. That's pretty much done on the Dust side. That's what I showed you. But how do we actually get that data? Fairly simple. You can either do it through Zapier, Make, or Pipedream, or anything like any type of automation platform. We have integrations with Make, Zapier, and Pipedream. So if you want to use one of those platforms, it's a lot easier. If you want to use another one, then you'll have to go through the API. But basically, every email that you receive that is labeled as AI newsletter is picked up from Zapier and pushed in Dust. And then the assistant is using that include data tool with a limit of 1 week to make sure that we only get the latest news, and we'll include everything we received to be able to pick the top 6 news. That's one of the pretty good use cases for the include data tool. So again, include data is including everything. So it's good to make some summaries to make sure that you haven't forgotten anything in a document, things like that. So it's temporal. It means that we won't be able to send everything. Like you saw that we have 200 newsletters, like 196 newsletters stored. It's not possible to send that to the LLM because we have something called a context window that we can't go above. And if you have too much text, the LLM just doesn't want to answer. So that's why we limit in time. So we say, okay, we're going to run this assistant pretty much every week. And every week, we're going to check the last week of newsletters that we received and summarize them. Yeah, that's pretty much the use case for extract data. Let's move to, that was for include data, sorry. Let's move to extract data. Extract data, we have a pretty good use case as well, which is Bug Buster. That's an assistant that we actually use at Dust with instructions that are, you will receive data from different Slack channels, which are discussions that can include user feedback or bug reports on our product. Then a bunch of other instructions to make sure that they're presented well. The interesting part here is that we're plugging that to Slack. And in Slack, we share Slack channels with our customers. And the goal here is to be able to extract bugs and feedbacks from what our customers tell us in Slack. So we want to extract the channel name, the message, the company that gave us the bug or the feedback, and the date. Well, let's just see what it does. I'm just going to use it. Bugbuster demo. No instructions necessary because it already has all the instructions it needs, which is from the data you're receiving, extract the bugs and the feedbacks. And the data it's receiving is extracting data from the tool I just showed. So we're extracting the channel name, the company name, if it's a feedback or a bug, and the actual message. And there we go. I can run that every week because I think I added, if I go back to it, I think the extract data tool is also, yeah, process data from the last week. So it's pretty much the same thing than for include data. I have to choose the range that I want to pick data from. And there we go. We can find that this week we got some bugs with assistants providing incorrect information, problems with XML generation, unavailability, increased latencies and failures, some Google Sheet integration issues, et cetera, et cetera. And then we've got feedbacks about some SSO things, Chrome extension, and the outage that we got. You can see that the companies are redacted because I'm using the Bugbuster demo one, and we have the actual Bugbuster which tells us which customers have asked for feedback, or I've given feedback or bugs. But for the demo, usually I'm using the one that redacts the customers. That's super powerful, really. You don't have to follow, like, you don't have to have someone that compiles everything and follows everything. We can just ask this assistant every week and know exactly what the state of our feedbacks is. So it's really powerful, and we use that pretty much every week. It's a really nice tool. So again, going back to the addition, extract data, you're basically just giving what you want to extract from a completely unstructured document. So the document here is a Slack channel, or well, a ton of Slack channels, but it could be pretty much anything. It could be Google Docs, it could be emails, it could be Zendesk tickets, pretty much anything. Like, this tool could help you classify your Zendesk tickets, for example. If you want every week to say, okay, which types of tickets did we have the most? Was it like more about invoicing issues? Was it more about like returns? Was it more about bugs? Anything? This tool can help you do that. All right, I haven't read the questions in a while, but I see Remy is answering, so thank you. If you have any questions on these tools, now's the time. Let me know. Seems like no question. So I'll skip to the next thing. Basically, the next thing is about the user feedbacks. Okay, so we have one question. Is the extract data bound to the same limitation in terms of context window? The context window is always there because LLMs don't handle above their context window. But the good thing with extract data is that you can go actually above the context window because you're extracting a summarized data of your actual data. So basically, instead of extracting the full message every time, I'm just extracting the company name, summary of the message, and if it's a feedback or not. I'm not extracting the entire Slack channel. So you're extracting, you can browse a lot more data, extract that in a smaller way, and that's that helps you do well, that helps you make it a lot smaller, basically. Is it any other main use cases of extract data that you use? Yeah, I can show you another one. We've got one that's called GitHub 4 hours changelog. Basically, this one's pulling data from GitHub to see it's extracting data. So it's using the extract data tool to know what happens in our GitHub in the last 4 hours. Because we're starting to have a bit too many people for everybody to be able to follow exactly what happened all the time. So we run this every 4 hours to be able to just see if there's anything major that we need to be aware of. So you can see all the PRs and the changelog and what happens. And so it's a lot easier to follow having a table of what happened in GitHub in the last 4 hours than having to actually go in GitHub. And pretty good thing is that we use that in an automation, which means that we run that every 4 hours and send the result by email. We use Pipedream to do that. So you could use Zapier to do that as well, or make.com. But basically, yeah, we run it and we receive the result by email. Makes things pretty smooth. Okay, let's move to the next thing, which is user feedback. So basically, we added some thumbs on your messages now. So you can say, okay, I didn't like the answer. If that wants to work, yeah, there you go. So I clicked on the down thumb, and this makes me, well, I need to type a comment to be able to say, okay, well, that this didn't show the company names, not useful. Submitting the feedback, and that's basically sending the feedback. Like if I do that again, you can see that it's sending my feedback to me because I'm the builder of that assistant. But if I was using another assistant, so for example, this one, I didn't create it. Stan created it. So if I do this, you can see that your feedback will be sent to Stan. Awesome. And there we go. So basically, we're gathering feedback. For now, it's only available through the API to pull in the workspace usage API. But in the next few days, you'll be able to see your feedbacks whenever you edit your assistant. So basically, you'll be able to edit your assistant here. And here you'll have another icon. Well, depending on the design that we're going to be doing, we're still talking about it. But here you can open the preview. You'll be able to open your feedbacks basically and see the thumbs and the comments that you have. So you can change your instructions depending on what your users are telling you about the quality of your assistant or your assistant sensors. So yeah, basically the goal of this is to make sure that you can iterate correctly on your assistants, because for now, well, you build assistants and you talk to your users, but you don't have actual specific meaning when people tell you, okay, this assistant is not working correctly. Here you'll be able to say, okay, it's not working correctly. I've got the actual comment, and we'll have a little checkbox to share the conversation to the builder or not, to be able to say, okay, well, it's not great, and you can look at my conversation to see that it answered wrong. Yeah, the preview window is exactly doing that. So whenever you're building your assistant, you can just sorry, wrong page. So if you create an assistant here, you can say hello. And you can just preview your assistant here. Hola. And it should answer hello. There we go. Well, I don't know. I don't know why it created a visualization, but yeah. Are you planning to enable the ability to push feedback via API, for example, from the Zendesk app? Yeah, definitely. It's not available now because we just released feedback, but yeah, we'll try. We'll try to have that as soon as possible. So same thing for now. It's not available in the Zendesk app, not available in the Chrome extension, but early next year should be available. Will we have any suggestions for changes to the instructions based on the feedback? So for now, no, because we're trying to see how the feedback is used first, because we realize that people understand that feedback button differently. Some of them are talking to the builder, some of them are talking to the assistant, saying, hey, next time answer differently. So we want to see what the trend is before being able to build the rest of the feedback loop. But yeah, and Guillaume, in the future, that should change definitely. All right. Last thing I wanted to mention is that we exported an NPM package for the developers in the audience. Now you can. Oh, that's not that. Where is it? That's clients NPM. There we go. So basically, we have a Dust SDK that you can use. It's not documented yet, so you, if you want to use that now, you can see it's been published five days ago. So if you want to use that now, then you can dig, but you need to dig in the code. We'll be building a documentation around it pretty soon. But that's a good way if you want to use the Dust API without having to do everything yourself. You can use the Dust client, and if you use JavaScript or TypeScript, of course. Maxime, I've noticed the difference of quality between the GPT-4 API and ChatGPT. Not sure what you mean by quality. They will likely answer differently because OpenAI has packaged their ChatGPT and GPT-4 models differently. So they don't answer exactly the same way because they're not exactly the same model. And we add some context as well. So I'm not sure what you mean by quality, but yeah, they're not exactly the same model because OpenAI doesn't give the ChatGPT model on the API. They're pretty close, but they're not the exact same model version number, so they might behave differently. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, please join the Slack community. Remy has sent all the links that are necessary and available. Please send feedback about the webinars. Please tell us what you want to know about in the next webinar, because we're usually trying to focus on one specific thing or like a few things, because we just have like 45 minutes to an hour, and there's a lot to know about. So the best thing is join the Slack community, look at the docs, look at YouTube. We explain a ton of things. We know LLMs are a pretty hard world to get into, but once you're in, you'll see that it's a huge ride. You can do lots and lots of good, cool things. So thanks a lot for joining, and well, I'll see you later, maybe in the next webinar, hopefully. And again, fill the feedback form that we'll send you, and tell us what you want to know about in the next webinar. Thank you, guys, and have a great evening.